best that I can. Do nothing. I saw New York City when it was just an island, 'cause I'm a Stone Age man.
Welcome to Two Drink Maximum, the show over 2 drinks and nothing more. I am your host, Shane Byerly.
And I am your other host, Chase Baxter. It's a very exciting evening.
Oh, it's a very exciting evening. New year.
It is a new year.
New shows. The holidays have come and gone, and I think I had a good holiday break. How about you, buddy?
I had a wonderful holiday break, but I am more excited to be here in this room right now.
Indeed. We have a special guest with us today. We would like everybody to welcome Nancy Sexton. Hi, Nancy.
Hello,
how are you?
hello.
Welcome.
I am good. I was just laughing when you were like, how was your New Year? I'm like, mine started in a hotel room in Amsterdam with COVID.
Hey.
Yeah, with COVID. Yeah, that's a pretty crummy way to start the new year, I think, right?
It actually was fantastic. I wanted to leave the room, but I was not allowed, and I was going to go get some shrooms and really enjoy my time, but I decided against it.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're going to get stuck in a hotel room, it might as well be like Cincinnati or something, like...
Amsterdam is not a terrible place to be trapped.
No, But at least you want to go outside. So anyways, cool. Well, thank you, Nancy, so much for having us. Thank you for joining us on the show. So as we kind of like to start, obviously the name of the show, Two Drink Maximum. What are we drinking today?
We are drinking Prosecco. I like bubbles.
Nice.
And for a long time, I was a rum girl, and I would drink a lot of rum and stuff. And when I lived in Italy, I started drinking Prosecco and just kind of never stopped. And so I like it because I can drink a lot of it without getting really shit canned. And
that's a good reason as any.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I also like it because it's I don't like really brut champagne and. As you guys know a lot about alcohol, that, each region, each country has their own sparkle.
Yes.
Right.
And so I just like the sweetness of Prosecco. I don't like it to be brut and dry. I like it a little bit of sweetness to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, let's take a sip.
Right. Let's take a sip.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers. In bocca lupo.
In buca de pepo.
Ooh, that is delicious, though. It is very good. You're right. It's very bubbly. I can almost see it as kind of like an after-dinner drink almost, because it is sweet. It feels like dessert in a glass.
It does.
It
is
does
a very
kind
desserty
of,
drink.
yeah. But it's it's more of an aperitivo, which is you would have it before a meal or something like that. But yeah,
right.
And it cracks me up that you said buco de pepe because
I had no idea what you said.
The saying is. In bocca lupo, which means in the mouth of the wolf. Which when I was living there, I was like, okay, that seems really ominous. Like in the mouth of the wolf.
That seems like a threat more than anything else. That's on a toast.
Yeah. It's very Italian, right? Very mafioso in a way. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, that's great. I mean, this is excellent to be sharing a drink with you. So I think one of the things that we wanted to kind of mention first, we're obviously coming from a new location, and it sounds great in here. Mm-hmm. We are in a location called the Muse Rooms, which is a co-working space here in Hollywood, California. And Nancy is the owner of it, and she was nice enough to let us come by. But I think most audience members would probably be familiar with a co-working space, maybe because of that WeWork messiness, right, that was all over the news. But just in case people aren't familiar with a co-working space, how would you describe it to somebody who is not familiar with co-working?
And I will tell you that we've been open now going on year 8, which is crazy.
Wow,
really? Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Time
this fall
flies.
is 8 years.
Wow.
It's so insane. But I think I spent like the first 5 years of us being open just educating people on what co-working is. So the best way I can describe it, and the easiest way to understand, it's like think of it as a gym for your business. Mm-hmm. Membership ID is the same. You become a member, you pay the one-time fee, and then you select your membership. So you can come here where it's a locked environment, it's safe, everyone is here just to work. Mm-hmm. This is not in the WeWork style. We are not a party. We are a very, a very down-to-earth workspace where you can let your hair down, be who you are. You don't have Buffy and Jody at the front door, checking you in. This is just like you come in, you get to work.
Right.
So we offer open space desk, which is just a large room with desks, and you can sit wherever you want. Or you can get a private office, and you can have a membership for a day, for a week, for a month, for a longer term if needed.
Right.
And yeah, that's kind of it. We also offer a kitchen, so you can put your food in, and coffee and tea and water. We do have mixers. Those are mainly just so our members get to know each other. And if it happens, because we are in Hollywood, I have very strict rules on You can't give your script to a producer. You know, we have very, very, like we have
Pitch-free zone?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
You should get a sign on the wall.
Those are
that says-
invaluable.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it is. It's just we want it to be a safe place for everyone.
Right.
And this is not where you go to sell your stuff. This is where you go to create it.
Right.
And so yeah.
And I do feel very creative. You were kind enough to give us a tour earlier of the space and all the amenities and the design and everything. And it really is a wonderful, it feels like a very creative space. So I would just like to say, way to go. It looks like
thank
a comfortable
you.
place to come and work
Thanks.
at the very least, just from my touring around it. And it has a really nice creative vibe to it. So you've captured that kind of incredibly in this space. So.
Yeah, well, it's called the Muse Rooms for a reason. We want you to, if you need to find a muse here, you can. Like wherever you look, we want you to be inspired in some way. It's just really, so we try to keep, even though this is a little higher end space than our previous locations, we do try to still capture a lot of that vibe of like, we hope that people walk through the space and feel like they remember something, or they see a movie poster and they're like, "Oh, it's a great film," or "I hated that movie."
They're
I'm going to
in,
write something better in this room. Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to stick my fist through the wall because I hated this movie. It's great.
Yeah.
there are endless little details all over this place of
yeah.
all kinds of like intricate design that y'all took and just to cultivate that atmosphere. So that is incredible.
I want to back up just for a minute because almost everybody at one point or another has had an idea to start a business, but that is not a very easy process. So my question is, how did it go from it would be a cool idea to start a co-working space to kind of actually getting that done?
Yeah.
Because it's
Well-
not, you don't just sign one piece of paper and then boop, it's done, right? It's a lot of work.
Well, I wish that I could be like, you know what, Shane, you're right. It was a lot of work.
I signed two
but-
papers and then it just appeared. Yeah.
What paper? It was on my hand.
Yeah, yeah.
No, well,
Somebody walked up and handed me keys, and I was like, okay.
well,
I'll do
I
this.
had to. I'll keep it as brief as I can. I've worn a lot of different hats,
You certainly have.
and I was writing pretty much full time during the day. I'd been hired to write. You know, I've written a movie, it's been made, and all that stuff that I
Right.
can hang my hat on, that kind of thing. And I was also still personal training because it was the beef of my business for a long time, of my money end, and I was really just kind of done. Like I remember somebody came in and was complaining about like being fat, and I was just remembering in my head being like, I don't fucking care, And it was my
That's
check.
a hard place to come to personal training from.
Yeah,
You want to inspire and motivate.
but,
You want to be like,
it
stop
was-
eating.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, here's a pizza. I don't care. You're going to
Yes.
keep paying me. No,
Do
and
whatever you wanna do,
I just
yeah.
remember that moment and being like, if I'm not invested in it, I'm not going to spend my time doing something just for the money.
Yeah.
And luckily, my husband's income afforded me the luxury to be able to go to him and go, I'm going to quit working and I'm going to meditate and I'm going to let the universe, because I believe in universal energy, I'm going to let the universe give me an idea, and that is going to be what I do.
How did that idea arrive?
Well, I was doing, like I said, a lot of meditating. I told him I gave myself a time limit.
Sure.
I said by the end of summer, by the end of August, if I don't have anything, then you won't hear peep from me. I'll get another fucking TV show. I'll do another personal training. I'll continue writing. I will write those movies that pay, 10 grand a script, whatever.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
do it. And so I just kind of let it be and was hanging out and not really pressuring myself. And I got an email from a place in Brentwood that did co-working. And I went, oh, fuck, that's a really great idea. Now, I had one of the things that, in my background, I managed gyms in New York City. And I saw this business model and I was like, hold on a second. I can still write,
Yeah.
help other people, because it's in my background. I mean, I'm a personal trainer and all that stuff for years.
Yeah.
It's not something I wanted to let go so easily. So the idea that I could help others build their business while I was building my own made me really happy, and it really excited me. I remember I called Tim. He was at work. He was actually working for Jeffrey at the time.
Katzenberg. Yep.
And I was like, get away from your desk. I was like, here's my idea. And he was like, oh my God, honey, that's great. This was like mid-August.
So you were immediately certain of it? Had, like, it
Kind of
just
struck you by lightning kind of deal?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I said, this is it. I found it. And I pitched to him and he thought it was great. And I went on Craigslist looking for spaces. I found something close by. The next week I went and looked at it. I ran a budget. So I had to do a whole deep dive in what was co-working, who was WeWork, and why had I never heard of this?
Right.
Because it was 2015. It wasn't, I mean, I guess they had been around for about 10 years, but they weren't on fire yet.
What about the concept of co-working, like, really set it apart from other potential businesses for you?
The idea that I could be writing and working at the same time, making money.
Right.
Okay.
I could have a space that was really residual income. I don't have to come into work and I still make money.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing for me because of my music background and having, I still get checks. It's great. It's a
Right.
great position to be in. They're not big, but I still get checks.
Checks are checks.
Checks
Yeah.
are checks. And
Everyone's
so,
gotten that $5 check from grandma where you're like, thanks, I'll buy
Yeah.
1/3 of a CD. Thanks,
It's
grandma.
got a dollar sign on it. That's a good
yeah.
check.
And so anyway, the whole process took about, I came up with the idea mid-August and we opened November 1st.
Wow.
And I got some funding
Very nice.
to help us out.
That seems quick. I mean, I never started a business, so I don't necessarily know
It's incredibly
how fast.
quick.
Yeah, I was going to
That
say,
is
but it
very
feels
fast.
fast.
It's incredibly quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is not like in like a brag or, like bragging kind of way, but it was quick, but it just happened that way.
Right.
It just did.
Was it just other people saw were like, this is a good idea, this is worth investing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing, I think the thing that is interesting to me is because of COVID, you have been kind of in a weird position to be on the front lines of American workplace behavior,
Oh my God,
right?
it's
Because
been
you
crazy.
opened before COVID, right? You went through COVID, and now we're kind of in a post-COVID environment. What was it like before? Was it kind of a weirder sell before COVID? Would you feel like you were kind of explaining everything, and then when it changed to COVID, how did that transition, affect you guys in terms of people coming in, people not coming in?
People not coming in.
Not coming in, yeah.
Well, prior to COVID, it was really, everybody, we think about it. We were all financially doing well.
Yeah.
Everybody was kind of, I liken it to like people were dancing in the streets. It was
Literally a
fucking
different
great.
world at this
You didn't
point.
know
You
how
know?
good you had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember financially, we were going to do our best month ever. And I was smiling and happy. And it was amazing.
The
Looking down.
Prosecco was flowing.
Oh my God!
It was.
Looking down at this bright horizon, this future that was just going to be phenomenal. And then COVID happened, and we shut down. And I did not feel like it was fair to my members to charge them, and all the other co-working spaces I found out later did.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of them.
Just let people go without payment for 2 months. Looking back now, I probably did not make the best financial decision for the company, but whatever.
Well,
we made it through.
Yeah, you
the
made it
goodwill
through.
is always invaluable.
I mean, yeah, it is, and people really appreciated that. They didn't come in, but they appreciated it. Money is really secondary. You have to do what you love,
Yeah.
and it's not you hope you get paid, but you should get paid for doing your job.
Yeah.
If it's
Ideally, you're paid for the work that you do. In the world.
Yeah.
yeah, because
Well,
if you're doing something you love and you're not getting paid, there is an amount of resentment that can build up, and so it's really crucial it's a merriment of that.
Yeah. You got to find the balance, right? I mean, everybody's heard that expression before. If you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's right.
Right.
Exactly.
And so it was great that, the universe led you on a path where you get to do something that you find fulfilling.
I know. I'm just
and it's
thinking.
a job too.
I'm just thinking about anybody listening to this is probably like, oh, great, she's one of those. No, I'm not. I really just know what has worked for me.
So was this the first business you started? Do you have a history of starting businesses or
I
anything
do.
like that?
Yeah. I have only ever worked for someone else when I worked in the restaurant industry.
Oh.
And I stopped that when I left New York. I started my very first business when I was 9. I had a bait business. I used to
Bait.
go
Like bait and tackle?
It was called Sexton's Bait Shop.
All right.
And I would get this little catalog.
Where was this?
In Reggersville, Ohio.
Okay.
In a town of less than 100 people. And anyway, I would go to the local or to the neighboring 5 miles away. I'd ride my bike with a bucket in the rain to this. Why in the rain? Because fishing worms come out of the ground in the rain.
Correct.
And I would go to the golf course, which was 5 miles away,
Nice.
with my
Clever.
brother, and we would go capture all the fishing worms we could get. And the trick was to not let them get out of the bucket on the
Yeah.
way home because they crawl up anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, these are the kind of things you can't do now. You know, like
That's probably tricky.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Golf course is
Trespassing on a golf course
Yeah.
is generally frowned upon. Is
Yeah,
in my
and especially if they come up to you and like, what are you doing here? You're like, oh, I'm looking for worms. So. And you're like, why? Just need some worms.
No, I'm not golfing. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
And then I would seine minnows from the stream beside our house, and I took 2 broomsticks and put a sheer curtain. And then you'd go and you could seine with that. I'd go with my sister and we'd seine minnows, and then they go in a big bathtub, and I bought an aeration machine so they could have air.
I bet your
Right.
parents just loved all the smells you were generating in their
please,
household.
they were never home. They were working.
Worms and minnows and
Yeah.
worms.
Keep it in the garage,
so
Nancy.
that
That's
was
the-
like
yeah.
that was my first like money making business. And then I also made my sister and I we would bake cinnamon rolls every weekend and then put them in our little wagon, and we'd make bread and we'd sell it to the neighbors, and we'd gather eggs. We had chickens, and so I've always been a little bit entrepreneurial.
Yeah, for sure. During COVID, did you ever get back into making bread? Did that?
Oh
itch
my
ever
God,
Or
come
that's so
selling
back?
bait.
Oh my God! Yeah, yes and no. No, yeah, it was actually worm bread. It was
Yeah.
Hey, there's probably a market for that
Yeah,
somewhere.
they're
Sexton's
probably-
Bait Shop and Bakery, depending on the day of the week or how the bread turned out.
And how much of whatever we have is available.
Yes, it's getting very biblical.
Yeah.
With the fish and the bread. No, I did not. I made some pasta. I got a pasta maker, but the lazy kind where you just put the flour in the water and it does it for you.
And it does it all
Hit a
for
button.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
It just seemed like everybody got obsessed with making sourdough during COVID.
Which
and
is
it
so
was-
stupid because it wasn't like the grocery stores were out of anything other than toilet paper.
It was something to do. I tried to make bread.
Yeah.
I did
And
a
it's
lot of
hard,
baking
right?
during
It's
COVID.
very hard.
Mine ended up very puck-like.
Well, sourdough. Everybody was like into making sourdough, and I was like, just make regular.
I just went basic bread. I
Yeah.
didn't want to start with sourdough because I knew you need the little 300-year-old ball of sourdough from a man on top of a mountain, and you bring it
I
down and
know
you make your sourdough.
it's from some guy's
Yeah.
shoes in his socks. It's
Exactly.
crazy. It's,
You're right, though. People talk about sourdough starter like in hushed tones.
It is.
Like
Where'd you
it's-
get-
Yeah, sure, don't.
Yeah.
It's 500 years old. This one's 500 years old.
yeah, bread. I still cook and everything, but you would ask me about entrepreneurial stuff.
Well, what's one tip you would share with someone that's trying to start any kind of business, just based on what you've
Your
experienced?
experience,
Yes, and what you've come to learn in business.
one thing I would say, make sure you will be successful, because if you do not know that, you have already put up the biggest wall in front of yourself, because so many people doubt themselves. And especially in this town, I mean,
Little room for doubt in a town like this, for
when
sure.
you're in entertainment and stuff and you're in acting or writing or whatever, I mean, you're driven on your doubt, right? I mean, it's kind of like what keeps you going.
Right. And I imagine that some of that doubt probably crept back in during COVID with the Muse Rooms, right? It's, the whole world turned upside down, and it's...
Was your confidence unwavering?
It was unwavering, I got to be honest.
good.
Nice.
I
Great.
remember just watching the bank account go lower, and I remember we got down below like an amount that would even pay the rent. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this is it. And then I got the additional funding that I had not received the first go around, and I actually spoke before Congress about that.
Yeah, amazing. What was that like?
It was crazy. I got to see behind the scenes a little bit, because before they put you on air, and by the way, this was all via Zoom. I didn't get to go anywhere because of COVID.
How is Congress with Zoom?
It was weird. Well, I don't know what it's like any other way, but like I said, it was a window into their relationships. Some people were really checked out. Some people were like sitting in their fucking cars, and like their kids were in the back, and they were like, yeah, all right, are we going to start this meeting or what, And then I just remember that the chairwoman was this awesome little feisty lady, and she was in this like an adobe house, and she had these gourds sitting up on a shelf, and there was this old, I don't know where he was from, but this old guy, and he was like, oh man, you look so good today, and she was like, okay, great, thanks. And he's like, what's up with those gourds back there? Oh boy, what? And I was like, oh my God, are you making a dick reference? Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, come on
and
now.
he wouldn't shut up. But I could see that thing on her face that she puts up with this shit all the time.
Yep.
And if it were any other type of work, that dude would be fucking fired.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. There is no Me Too in the old House of Representatives.
Yeah, I could imagine
Which is
so.
fucking insane.
Yeah, the level of disconnect from reality there. I
Oh
think
my God,
is-
yeah. And it was really, and I remember like the one guy, I was like, I read my thing and then they asked me a few questions and I was just like fucking chopping them off at the knees and saying what a shit job they had done for the SBA. And the guy was like, well, now I heard all this stuff about what we did wrong. I'd like to know what we did right.
Ugh.
And I was like,
Please give me a compliment.
yeah. And I literally, I said, I go, you know, you guys, like, it was so bad that there is no room to tell you where you did right.
Yeah.
The answer is very little.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm in the Library of Congress, which is fucking crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And it was really fantastic. And it was like a very proud moment to be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did it give you any political aspirations? Did you ever want to deal with those folks on a daily basis?
Do you know that I got people who came to me and said, hey, would you ever consider running?
Oh.
Yeah, Nancy Sexton for Congress.
And I went, no, actually, I
Never.
kind of like getting, my life and.
I don't want anybody talking about my gourds.
Exactly.
I
No,
don't want to put
like-
up with it. No.
Like,
Old
no.
Southern congressman commenting on your gourds.
Oh my God. Yeah. So bizarre. Yeah.
Just a quick side note. If you're planning on using the word gourds in a sentence,
Gourds.
just reevaluate.
Yeah. But still don't call them, what's the other word that people don't like using? It's not
Moist. People
moist.
usually- yeah.
Moist gourds
People
is
usually-
like,
oh, God.
that's a bad combo.
That's the
my
perfect
shoulders-
storm of
My
awful
shoulders
words.
literally just involuntarily tensed. Moist gourds.
I think I threw up in my mouth.
Yeah. Well, you know what? On that very note, I think I need a refill of this Prosecco.
Indeed.
We're going to take a quick break.
Moist gourds was so alarming that somebody called
Somebody
the
called
fire.
the cops.
I know.
Yeah.
I need a bottle of Prosecco to wash the moist gourd taste out of my mouth.
Please,
All right.
let's never say it again.
We will be back in just a minute. Thank you so much for listening today to the show. If you want to keep up with us, please, you can follow us on Instagram at 2drinkmaximum. If you want to talk with us, or if you want to recommend a guest, or if you just want to write us an email, we'd love to read it on the show. Please email us at 2drinkmaximum@gmail.com. Thanks. And now, on to drink two. And we're back with our second drink. We are here with Nancy Sexton. To call Nancy an international woman of mystery might sound a
very
little
true.
dramatic, but it's also not that far off. You've had quite, but in addition to the Muse Rooms and Sexton's bait tackle and bread shop.
Let's not forget that, please.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. In our research on who you are as a human being, you are a famous singer.
Uh-huh.
You have 4 #1 Italian dance music hits. That is fascinating, and
It's
I would
crazy.
like you to tell me more about that, please.
Okay, well, I started singing in college. I had a band, and we were called the No Names because nobody could come up with a fucking name. So that was, and we did covers, and I sang Blondie and Heart and like,
yeah.
and Janis Joplin, and I mean, when I was younger, my voice I could really hit it. But anyway, so I moved to New York. I was modeling. I had the opportunity to go to Europe. I was told on a Sunday I was going to Milan.
Wow.
I left Friday. I mean, it was fucking insane. I had a dog. I had an apartment. I had a job. And I just said, fuck it, I'm out. I gave up everything. I literally organized everything in those days, and I left Friday.
That's
Wow.
incredible.
I went and I got there, and it was not what it was all cracked up to be, because at that point I was 25.
Wait a minute. Someone lured a 20-year-old to Europe and did not deliver on all the promises that they told
20,
them
yeah,
they would.
no, no,
That
a
doesn't
20
sound right at all.
A 25-year-old,
Ah.
which I found out very quickly that they wanted me to babysit a bunch of teens who were there. You know, they wanted me to model, but they wanted me to also babysit because
Gotcha.
Like be like mama model. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like kinda, yeah.
Mama
yeah,
model.
yeah, because it was literally a room with like 12 beds,
Yeah.
one bathroom.
Oh, it was like a model farm. I've heard of those before, where they just keep everybody in the same venue.
Yeah,
and
it was
like,
insane. And I was like, and I,
yodel-working.
being from New York, I was like, fuck you, I'm out. Like, seriously, I was just like, fuck
I could
you.
do this at home.
Forget about it, right? Yeah.
So I left, and I was really.
Arrivederci.
Yeah, exactly. Ciao, ci vediamo. And so I packed everything up, and I was on my way back to the airport, and I was really struggling with I had this I was supposed to be there 6 weeks. I had the ticket for 6 weeks. I didn't know if I had the money to change the fucking ticket. And I stopped in this little bar, and I was really upset. And I remember I was crying, and I was just trying to get a coffee, and I couldn't even fucking order an American coffee. And I heard this voice, because everybody in Milan, not everybody speaks English. It's not like Rome. Like you go to a city that's a tourist city, they really speak English. Anyway,
they want to get those tourists, so they've learned enough of the language to be like, you pay me money.
Yeah, exactly. So I heard this voice go, "Are you American?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" And I burst out into tears, and I hugged him. It was this little man, and I say little because I'm 6 feet, and he came up to my boobs, and I was hugging him, and he's like, "Hi, I'm John," and I was like, "You're nursing," No, so
John was having a great time.
John was having a great time. No, so I sat down with him. He was American. He had his own orchestra, and he basically said to me, like, "Look, you can't leave. Like, don't give up. Like, you've just got here."
Right.
Like,
because how deep was this into the trip? Like a couple weeks or?
No, like 5 days.
He said,
So
yeah,
okay,
like
5
1
days.
weekend.
I was literally like, I was like, no. I saw what was going on. I was like, oh, fuck off. I'm not doing it.
Okay, so it all happened pretty quick then.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God. And he was like, look, I'll let you sleep on my floor. And I kept, I sized them up, and I was like, I could take them.
Push comes to shove. I can do all the shoving.
I'm the baby of 5. We grew up fist fighting. This is like, and I was like, okay, all right, dude. All right, cool. I'll take you up on that. So I chucked out the idea of moving back to New York, and I went to his house, and I slept on his floor, and he was a complete gentleman the whole time.
Great.
And he, at the time, I had cassette tapes because we had cassette tapes.
Yeah. Kids, those are physical
Yeah.
elements.
So like it's
That played
roughly the
music,
size of what is even an iPod is old now.
Yeah.
About the shape of an iPod video, and it had physical tape inside of it that
That's
had
right.
the music on it.
Yeah, and
They would get tangled, and you had to have a pencil if you wanted to,
Rewind
do
it.
anything.
Yeah,
So you still needed even
Yeah,
just physical writing material.
It was really great. I had these. So he was listening to them, and he said, "I have an idea." And I said, "What is? What?" And he goes, "Well, you have such a great voice. There's a building in the center of Milan, and they love American singers here. You should go there and just see if anyone's hiring or needs a singer." So I got all dolled up, and I went there, and it was a 6-story building, and on each floor there was about 6 offices. And I started, "Hi, my name is Nancy. I'm from New York. I'm a singer. Hey, cosa fai? Cosa voglio da me?" All this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Door slam, door slam, door slam, door slam. I'm shit you not. I am at the last door on the 6th floor. I am fucking exhausted. I've been in the building for about 3 hours, banging on doors, having old men like offer me like coffee and be weird and
He's super Italian at you.
Totally,
No doubt,
totally.
yeah.
Well, Superman.
Yeah.
Super manly of the 90s.
It's that like machismo thing that they would always go for.
Absolutely. And then I get to the last door, and I knock, and this little lady comes, and she's like, "Oh, no. Oh, aspetta. Matteo. And basically what she was saying was, no, I don't speak English. Hold on. And so she calls this guy Matteo, and he comes out of his office, and he sees me, and he gets this big smile on his face, and I'm like, oh, fuck me. Here we go again. Yeah. And he goes, well, hello. And he has an American accent, which most Italians don't. They have English accents because they learn English from England.
Right.
And he was like, oh, no, come in my office. And I sat down, and I remember I looked at him. I said, what is your name? And he says, Matteo. I said, Matteo, listen to me. I'm not fucking leaving this office until you get me a job as a singer somewhere. I am fucking done.
I'll do kids parties if I have
I was
to.
like, I don't fucking care. And he looks at me, and he goes, well, he puts the tape in. He listens to my demo, and he goes, He holds up his finger, picks up the phone, says a bunch of words. I don't know what the fuck he's saying. And he hangs up the phone, and he goes, you have a gig this Friday.
That's awesome.
So cool.
And I performed in front of 5,000 people.
Wow.
Who was Matteo? What did he do?
He ran the world's first publishing company called Recordy.
Huh.
Recordy. They were the very first publishing company in the world. They were the publishing company of pianists.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And I learned everything you need to know about the music industry from that man. So when I went into my first record contract, which is so crazy, I was hammered in a bar one night singing on a mic, and somebody heard me and pulled me aside and said, "You're American?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh my God, dude. So can you come and record?" But he didn't say, "Oh my God, dude." That's me.
That's you.
I just
That
realized
was
that.
inferred.
That's
You're
Nancy.
putting words in his mouth.
I did. I did. He was like, "Oh no, you American. You American. You come record." I was like, "Okay, fine." So I went and I recorded on a Sunday, and the record went to #1 on Friday.
Wow.
It was crazy.
What did it feel like to be a #1?
Well, the first time I heard my song on the radio, I cried a lot because I was like, "Oh my God." And then the most amazing thing is because my record was #1 for so long, my biggest hit.
How long was it #1?
3 months
Okay.
of 97
That's
of summer.
forever, even back then.
Yeah. And I got to perform on television, and it was really fantastic. I've been on the same stage as like Ricky Martin and Lisa Stansfield and John Bon Jovi, and it's crazy. And then I remember I took Tim to Italy, and we were in a cab, and my song was on the radio. And that was
amazing.
like, yeah. And also, I still do jingles for some of the DJs that I used to work with and everything. But it's surreal. I performed. My biggest show was in Tokyo. And I remember they didn't tell me when I walked out on stage, they didn't tell me they were going to give me dancers.
Oh.
And so when your song
Who
is
are these people behind me?
What are all of you doing?
Shaking and gyrating. What is happening here?
And they didn't. And the craziest thing is they also did not tell me that when you have a hit song, that the clubs create a dance for your song.
What?
And everybody in Tokyo knows the dance for your song.
Oh, whoa.
So my dancers were dancing with the crowd in front of me.
Did you try and learn it, or were you just like,
Wait,
I
they
was
they
like,
they made a dance for her song?
Yeah, but no, but I'm saying the dancers were in front of you?
No, they were behind me,
Oh,
and I
I
didn't
was
know
gonna
they were
say.
there. And I had this white T-shirt with I had everything was vinyl, so I had vinyl black pants and a bright orange jacket with my military boots on. I was crazy, and I turned around and I was like kind of a little bit of a slam dance kind of singer,
Okay.
a little bit punk influenced because that's how I was when I was singing normal, And I remember I was kind of like slamming my hand, and I saw everybody doing this dance, and I was like, "Oh, that's fucking great! It's like line dancing in like Utah or something."
Yeah.
Wrong state, Texas.
Texas two-step. Yeah, there you go.
Utah. Who the fuck dances in Utah? Nobody.
All those Mormons, man,
Yeah.
they're getting up
A
there.
lot
doing
of
the-
people secretly are probably
God.
dancing in Utah. So have you since gone back and learned the dance?
No,
No?
I have not.
Ah.
I didn't learn it at the time. It was really funny. For the first time that I went, we were brought there by MTV, and they picked us up, and it took us 18 or 20 hours to get there, and we were in the country for less than 24 hours.
Wow.
Rock and roll.
We
Yeah.
literally rock and roll. And I
That is-
remember,
that's-
Fly into
remember-
the show, fly out.
I got really, I was a really unruly artist, and I almost got arrested and almost thrown out of the country.
What'd you do?
I picked up a couple sailors while we were out walking around after the show and brought them back to the hotel, and we wanted drinks, and you're not allowed to bring guests into your room. They're very strict about
Really?
that. And one of the sailors body slammed the front desk guy, and
Oh, my.
we went into somebody's room who I knew, and we took all their alcohol out of their mini bar and proceeded to get shit canned. It was amazing.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the Italy thing happens, right? You're a pop star there. I mean, you this massive success. Eventually, you come back here.
Yeah, I came home because I had my lawyer, who was Marla Maples' lawyer, by the way.
Nice.
We had a lot of conversations about our former president, by the way, which is really insane. But we were structuring a deal where I was going to be acting on a television show with a company, and they were doing that singing show. There was a show on in the 90s where there was about this girl, and she was singing, and Anyway, they did this.
90s show about
I'll
a girl's
remember
life.
it.
I don't remember that one.
But anyway, it was. But I was going to be my song that I'd written was going to be the title song for the show, and I was going to be one of the actors, and it was about cops that moonlight as country artists. Because I had a background in country music as well.
Wasn't cop rock, was it?
No, it never got made.
Okay.
And what happened was I came home and went into the meetings with my lawyer, went back to Italy, closed up shop, gave up all my contracts, closed my promotional deal, closed everything up, got rid of my stuff.
Yeah.
Got rid of my apartment, came home with 2 bags after 4 years. And when I got home,
Travel light. That's not half bad.
yeah, it was really crazy. And I remember Laura, who was a secretary, was sitting there, and I was like, "Hey, is Michael in?" And she's like, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" I was like, "What do you mean? What am I doing here? I'm here to meet Michael so we can talk over the contract." And she's like, "That deal fell through. Michael was supposed to talk to you about that."
Oh, no.
There was no email. Remember this? There is no email.
Yeah, the email didn't exist.
You didn't get a pigeon? We sent a pigeon weeks ago.
Yeah, he was supposed to call me. Now, I did have a cell phone. No one else had a cell phone in the States yet, which is really weird. Anyways, that's kind of ass backwards. We got computers first, they got cell phones first. It was weird. But he did not call me, and I had moved home. I
Back
literally...
to Ohio?
No, back to New York.
Okay.
At that point, New York was my home. And
Sure.
I was like, what the fuck, man? I just gave up my world.
Yeah. God, that's the second time you made a move and then it didn't pan out immediately as soon as you got there.
Yeah, and I remember just being so heartbroken, and I fucking hexed his ass in every part of my being, and he OD'd on cocaine in it.
Oh, my.
Whoa.
Yeah, and died.
Whoa.
And I will, I was happy
Well,
about
that's unfortunate.
Okay, let's not get on Nancy's bad side. Good Lord.
That's unfortunate that that person passed away that way.
It's a series of unfortunate events.
Oh my God, that's horrible. But no, that is what happened. He OD'd on cocaine because he had and the reason why the deal fell through was because of his cocaine problem. He kept missing meetings and just fucking everything. It was really crazy.
Too much time with Don Simpson, I think, probably hanging out with you.
This is my life. It's craziness, right?
Yeah.
And so I moved home and I had to go back to bartending.
What did you tell yourself in that moment? Everything has fallen apart around you. You have to go back. You become a bartender again. You've basically started over again. Do you remember anything you told yourself to try and push through that experience?
I just remember being I'm going to be okay. The one thing I've always said to myself is, after growing up the way that I grew up and everything, I think I just go you have food, you have a place to stay, you have a significant amount of money because I just came back from, my life there with number one hits and stuff.
Right? Yeah.
You're fine. Something else will come along. And yeah, I was in culture shock moving home from Italy. I was very recluse. I didn't go out a lot.
Yeah.
And I was had such a structured life in Italy. I wrote music every day. I wrote for 5 hours a day. I got a house in Williamsburg, an apartment in Williamsburg. I built a studio, and I just wrote music all the time and went to work. And with the hopes that I would go back and forth to Italy, which I did, to sell music and record and come home and record and go home. And I'm really good at crunch time. I just remember that from basketball. I remember
You're a clutch player, right?
I am. I'm the person you fall on when shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
This is why
The will to act.
Yeah.
Because you have it. You have that, when
You
it's
have
put up or
to.
shut up time.
I'm saying, you have to know that you have that. You have to be that person. You have to be able to trust enough in yourself. And if you fuck it up, oh well.
Well,
That's the beautiful part about life.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
the times that you think it's super serious and super important and something happened, you can fuck it up, but there's always another chance most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it looks to me like we're just about out of Prosecco, but I have one question left.
Yes.
Which is, what do you think the future is going to hold for you? It's so fascinating to see what you've been through already. I feel like the future's got some exciting possibilities from you. Where would you like to be? What do you think is actually, what do you feel like the universe is telling you the direction that you're going?
More Italian adventures. travels to Europe in your future.
Getting kicked out of Tokyo again.
Yeah,
And you know
oh my
what? Bottom
God.
line is, if it all fails, you can still open Sexton's Bait and Bread.
Oh my God, that would be
Yes.
amazing. It would be amazing. Worm bread.
Yeah.
I think very, very simply, like I'm going to get back into writing and like serious writing. I feel like, I mean, and we did not touch on this, but I mean, my husband has some major health issues, and that has kind of like really kind of changed my thought. And for 2 years, I've been nothing but, like caregiver,
yeah.
and running the business. But I think we're finally at the point where I'm able to shift focus a little bit
Sure.
with the confidence that he'll be okay.
Yeah.
And that's something like I can control myself. I can always say I'm going to be okay. But when you're caregiving for somebody else, you just don't know what that's going
Yeah.
to be like. So my goal this year is to start writing again and have something in my hands when I'm done that I can really hang my hat on and be like, I'm really happy with this. Now, if it sells, great. If it doesn't, whatever. You got to love that.
You
first.
wrote it and you're proud of it. That's the important
that's
thing.
kind of my only
Yeah.
goal right now, and getting the business, really flourishing to the point where that's good too. I mean, we're good now, but you know what I mean? Better.
Yeah.
I'd always like to be better.
Yeah.
But I wish I could say, oh, I have these, great expectations, but maybe travel in the future. We'd like to buy a house in Italy. That's kind of like one of our ideas.
That's beautiful.
But there's so many factors that go into play. We'll just see,
But no matter what, you have every confidence that you're going to succeed at whatever you move forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's why I don't pick those things lightly.
No.
I mean, I have to feel it. And right now, I got to say, the only thing I'm feeling right now is just honestly because of the whole situation that is happening with his health. It's just it's a day by day thing.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to
Yeah.
kind of see the future when you gotta plan day by day.
Yeah,
Understood.
and that's it's a weird position with my attitude and my previous life to be in,
Yeah.
because I have to take pause because it's not just me.
Right. Exactly. Well, I, for one, cannot wait to follow your adventures in the future.
Absolutely.
And I have to imagine that our listeners are now riveted as well. So if you want to get in touch with Nancy for the Muse Rooms stuff, or if you just want to follow along with your adventures, can people find you online, or is there like a website you want to direct them to? Or
You have a SoundCloud for your music?
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
God. Oh my
Links to
God.
music,
You know
yeah.
what? I don't, because that's all record company owned, but you can definitely, if you ever go to YouTube, just type in Nancy Sexton singer, you'll see a gazillion things.
You'll see a bunch of random Tokyo dancers
I'm gonna
behind
track
her.
it down.
Oh my God. It's
Confusing
so crazy.
Confusing her.
We got to get your dance viral on TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Move over, Jenna Ortega.
Oh my God. No, the Muse Rooms is the Muse Rooms. That's THEM as in Mary, USE, rooms with an S.com. And you can kind of follow everything there. I don't really have social media for myself personally.
Sure.
I do, but it's really not exciting.
That's okay.
I got off Facebook.
It's okay to have one aspect of your life that's not as exciting
Yes.
as the rest of it.
I got off Facebook during the last election, and I kind of
And
Probably
stayed
a
off.
good call.
Probably a good call.
yeah. But you can always reach me at the Muse Rooms. Yeah.
There we go. Well, Nancy, thank you so much
No,
for coming
thank
on the
you,
show.
guys.
This was a
Thank
real
you.
treat. And, we hope we're going to have you back on the show eventually.
I have
we
some music and a dance to learn, I think.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you again so much for tuning into this episode. We will see you next time.
See you next time.
Cheers,
Thank you very
buddy.
much. Cheers.
Now I gotta get back to my cave real soon, but I'm feeling kinda lost, just like a buffoon. My only GPS left are the stars in the sky.